everyone, it's Caroline. I hope everyone is well. And today I'm visiting the central coast of California, so that's where these beautiful waves are from. And I'm wanting to ask the collective for their input on how do we deal with all of the things going on in the world right now that are so difficult. They're especially designed, the darker, more difficult events, such as what happened in Maui and what's been happening in many places, Canada, the Greek islands, Canary Islands, many places around the world, huge swaths of the African continent with these quote-unquote wildfires, which are of course intentionally set. And I'm wanting to ask them, how do we deal with this? Because the whole thing is designed to get us upset. All of these awful events are designed so that you and I will feel traumatized, trapped, helpless, very sad for those affected, or very traumatized if we are ourselves affected by the fires or anything else, a hurricane, tornado, anything, earthquake, anything like that. And so my question to them is, how do we deal with this and keep our energies and our outlook positive and high? Because these beautiful, incredible solar rays pouring in, they're so full of joy and they're so full of healing power and regenerative and renewing power. So it's also an amazing time of renewal and if we can, accept grace and a kind of forgiveness, a new form of calm regarding everything we're going through and everything we've ever experienced in this and other lives. So I'm asking if the collective will answer and assist us with that. And I'll bring them in. Well, greetings, dear ones. We are very pleased to have this time to speak with you, as always. And so our writer has asked that we speak specifically amongst these very beautiful waves, each one unique, each one empowered with its own voice and presence and spirit. They are a kind of miracle, as the sea is a miracle. And the land, and all of you, likewise, great miracles. And so the question has been asked, how do we deal with all of these lower vibrational attempts to keep us down and hold us back? And certainly this is correct. The idea is to hold people in a place not simply of fear but of obedience. That if you want to stay alive and keep your friends and family near you and also well, you will have to follow directions and also put up with real loss. And that isn't really true. And all of you have realized that in your own way. Any more than it's true that you need to fundamentally change who you are in order to be acceptable. This is not true. And there are many, many ways in which you receive that kind of a warning, a kind of a message. And it's time to release the effects of all of that. So what we're doing in this message is flowing energies to you to help you remember. Most of you have not really originally come from here. You've come from elsewhere, in this or another solar system altogether. Some of you another universe. And you've come here because this is a beautiful time, as our writer was saying, of regeneration, of renewal, of rebirth. As the planet moves up to fifth dimension, can you bring everything with you? No, and you wouldn't want to. And so in many ways, As we were saying in the Maui fires video, there is great renewal, there is powerful alchemy occurring now, which you would not have chosen, probably. If you'd been given a choice, you would not have chosen that. And we don't mean to say that the only way that that renewal can occur is through destruction, because that is not so. And yet all of your soul groups have taken this on, and you've all said, collectively as one voice, we're going to move forward in ways that release the density of the third dimension and the old power structure. We're not going to bring that with us. Indeed, you cannot bring it with you. There's nothing about the fifth dimension on your new earth that desires to bring forth any vestige of the old. And sometimes a cleansing occurs, and that can happen physically. And sometimes a release occurs, which can also happen physically. And all of you work very hard in your sleep state to bring that about. Now, how do you do that? All right. There are alchemical processes which you and many others have enabled on this planet, which take place in the etheric. So it's not going to look like an alchemy laboratory. It's not going to look like a place where there are grand experiments going on per se, because it's all happening energetically. The laboratory, if you need one, is this planet. And this was always to be a place of experimentation, a place of great diversity. You have certainly all achieved that, with increasing levels of love and acceptance for diversity, racially and otherwise. It was to be a place of experimentation and visitation. All of you have come in from other places in this universe, all or nearly all. And you've all 100% visited elsewhere in this universe. You do so all the time. You travel etherically. Sometimes you multi-locate, sometimes this is just what you're doing in your sleep state and on a soul level. And you have fully engaged the assistance of the Intergalactic Confederation of Worlds, which Earth is going to rejoin once her vibrational resonances are up to that task. And all of you likewise are moving to a place where what you are seeing and feeling and experiencing doesn't belong to the old Earth experience, doesn't belong to who you were. There have been rings of light set around the planet and lines of light running through the planet, not only through the crystalline energy grid, but through all aspects of her consciousness, to ensure that she does not see any mass extinction events. Not in her body and not in humanity. So these rings of light and lines of light, one might say, absorb the vast majority of the density that is intended for humanity. So that while some things still do occur because you have retained your free will, we don't stand between you and the reality you voted to experience. While you have retained that, nevertheless, things are not allowed to go out of control, whereas once they might have been. So like these beautiful waves, you feel so much come crashing onto the beach, onto the sands and the rock, and yet the rock and the beach remain. Yours is not a life to be taken lightly, and yet it is not a tragedy in any sense. You aren't here to feel bad about life. You aren't here to feel defeated. So what do you do when these things happen, these fires and these moments of armed conflict and the shootings and other terrible things going on? you immediately see it as a great dark hole that you fill with the most beautiful divine light you can imagine. Put your hands out in front of you as if you were holding the situation in your hands. Send a line of light from your heart to that situation. Bring it into a beautiful pillar of light that's pouring down straight from the higher realms, and say, I only see love in you. I fill you with divine love. That's all I see. That's the only reality I will subscribe to here. All else is a lie. All else is just appearance. You have heard this lovely phrase about how fear is false evidence appearing real, and we have said many times this is a beautiful phrase, and it is so, that what you are being given is false evidence. You are not as fully seeing the energetic empowerment occurring throughout your planet and throughout humanity. But as we speak of these rings of light and these lines of light going through the earth herself, they are also lines of communication that are filling each of you, your heart, mind, your spirit, with an increased capability to connect with your soul families, your twin flame, etc. And to pull Earth into that beautiful galactic federation, which becomes over time then her participation in the Intergalactic Confederation. So as each of you are participating in the beauty of that, you draw Earth in as well. You shift her reality. So if you can look at the news report of something dreadful happening and say, representation only. Every soul in this situation is still on a path of light. And I send them my love. And I also equally send my love to those who enacted these events, started the fires, used weather manipulation to create an earthquake or hurricane or what have you, started the war, mind controlled someone who then falls into a very deep pit of dark behavior. Send light to that soul as well that has become so lost that they have fallen into the machinations of those who are themselves dreadfully lost. Now, are all still in shadow? No, many have come into the light because they realize the darkness to which they were trained and in which they were raised is going nowhere. And so many who were formerly of the dark are coming into the light. We rejoice of this. Every time you send them some beautiful form of higher light and love, you draw them in all the more. If you were to come from a place of pure love and acceptance, perhaps a grandparent's home where there was always something wonderful baking and the aroma would greet you as soon as you came in the door, and then you were somewhere having faced a lot of difficulty, feeling isolated, feeling frightened, and then you come into an environment where again you smell that beautiful aroma, you would remember on a sensory and a heart-based level that all is well and that there is still love in the universe. And that is how these ones who create these events, that is what they are experiencing now whenever you send them love. So don't hesitate, dear ones. Don't hesitate. Hold out great light for them and no end of possibility that they will come around. We are so full of love and so full of thanks for the bravery of all of you being on the earth at this time, and yet, in a sense, if we experienced envy, we would all of us envy you because you are here as this light is coming in. To use another analogy, if you had only ever had chemicalized city water all your life and then suddenly drank from a pure brook, a pure mountain stream, and realized this is real water. This is how your spirit feels as this light comes in. Reminding you of who you really are. This is a moment that your soul has so desired for so long. Because it cannot fathom not being here to witness the miracle of this ascension. Now we're going to ask the higher selves if they have a gift, a statement. Well, it's a fairly straightforward message. They're saying nothing is as it appears. The light has won. Hold that in your heart above any outer signal which the brain has been trained to not only notice but respond to in certain ways. Hold that reality in your heart and know how real and how beautiful it is. And know that you are being held in the heart of so many. With so much thanks for all this beautiful light you anchor into the earth. New life, new beginnings will come to these places affected by the fires and affected by all else. Great breakthroughs have been made recently regarding Nisara. Most of you will live to see its enactment, and those who don't will simply live elsewhere. You'll be home, and you can come back to experience that moment of that announcement if you wish. You don't ever have to feel that you will miss anything. That would be impossible now. So we send much love and many blessings, dear ones. Honored as always to assist and to support all of you. Namaste.